So, welcome to this session on shell programming. Until now, we have been discussing various aspects of shell programming, and in the last few classes we have been discussing some advanced concepts such as executing the same command twice, ignoring shell commands, ignoring signals and then handling signals and so on. If you remember, during the start of this course, I had informed you that in shell all the variables are considered as string. Well, we had mentioned that to ensure that you do not have any confusion during the past few classes about how to use and handle variables, and as well as being careful while writing the shell programming languages. Now, what we are going to see in this session is how to declare typed variables. So, this will in fact reduce your burden of checking for whether a variable is an integer or a string or whether it is an array, etc. So, one of the ways to do it is to actually declare what that variable type is, and that is exactly what we are going to do with these typed variables. So, the shell provides a way to declare a variable. So, for example, suppose I am going to use integers in my program. So, what I can do is I can actually declare some variables to be integers by using a command such as declare space -i space and then whatever variables. So, the advantage of this is that you can overcome many of the problems associated with converting a variable from a string to an integer and then performing lot of mathematical operations. So, if you remember in one of the classes, we had to use either EXPR or we had to use a calculator, an advanced calculator such as BC or something, to ensure that you are able to do arithmetic operations. Now, such problems can be solved if you can actually predefine the variables. So, we will see some of the important aspects or the parameters that this declare command takes. So, as I discussed previously, the -i tells you that the variable names that is going to follow after this -i will be integer variables. Now, -x allows you to export the variables. So, if you remember, we had discussed about exporting shell variables previously, and you can also make a variable read only. Now, this is very important, because if you want to declare a variable and you do not want any other person to modify that variable, then it is nice to make this variable read only. And then we can also declare an array, or you can let a variable to be treated as an array by using the -a command. Now, let us see all of this using examples. So, let us try to take this program called declare.sh. We will try to understand the program line by line. We will also execute it and then we will see how this program works. So, let us first take a look at this declare.sh program. So, if you remember, when we started off our course, we said that variables can be declared something like this. Say, for example, line number 4 says that num1 will take a value of 5 and then num2 will take a value of 6, and I am typing something known as a result, which is num1 plus num2. Then I am trying to echo num1, num2 and num3, and if you remember, since the shell considered every variable to be a string, if I echo the result here in line number 9, so what is going to happen is that it is going to just say result is equal to num1 plus num2, but whereas our intention is to add these numbers 5 and 6. So, even though if it prints num1 to be 5 and num2 to be 6, the result will be printed as 5 plus 6, it does not print the value of 11. So, let us try to run this program and see whether that is what happens. So, we will ignore the other values except for the first 3 echo statements. So, let me run this program. So, declare.sh. So, let us look at the first 3 statements, which is of importance to us. So, it says num1 is 5, num2 is 6, but when I try to print the result, what is happening is it is printing it as num1 plus num2. Now, what I want is number 11. So, how do I get this number 11? So, let us now try to go back and look at the next part of the program. So, now we are saying in line number 11 we are saying echo after using declare minus I. So, here what I am doing in line number 13 and 14 is very important. So, I am just saying that I am using this command called declare, and then I am saying that whatever is the variables that are going to be here are going to be integers. Therefore, what I am doing is declare space minus I space num1 is equal to 5, and then I am giving num2 is equal to 6. Then again in the next line I am declaring the value result. So, the result is also I am declaring it as integer, and now if you see the best part of it, when I do result is equal to num1 plus num2 and then I try to print the result. So, what I will do is I will also print echo dollar $num1 and we will also print num2. Now, this will not look anything different from what we printed previously, but then the result is what will surprise us. So, if you look at running this program again and then I run this. So, if you look at this, after declaring minus I am able to see the same 5, same 6, but then the output is now is not num1 plus num2, it is now 11. So, we see that if we use the declare statement, okay, or the command, then these two numbers are considered to be integers. So, let us now try to see the other options of declare. So, let us go and take the look at this program again. Okay, let us move on. We will remove these lines to ensure that it does not create any confusion. Okay. So, what we are doing is now let us now in line number 5 what we are doing is we are declaring name to be an array. So, now once you have declared it to be an array, I hope you remember how to initialize array values. What we are doing right now is this. Okay. So, once I declare the name to be an array, then I can start giving the indices to the array. So, I have given an index of 0 where I am given my first name, and then the index of 1 where I have given my last name, and then when I try to print this. So, this is how you print the array values. If you remember, we have to give a dollar symbol and then we have to use this curly braces. So, I have printed the value of 0 and 1. Let us see what happens. So, here I will just insert a dummy statement to understand the results much better. Okay. So, what I do is now run this program. So, if I run this program, if you look at this, after declaring the name as an array, when I print name of 0 and name of 1, what I get is my name gets printed, and so here is what the delimiter that we put. Now, this value can be printed in another fashion. So, that is what we have done in the next line of the program. So, if you look at the next line of the program, instead of printing name 0 and name 1, we have just said that now if you remember, this expands the array. Okay. So, it expands this to name of 0 and a name of 1, which is nothing but Shankar and Raman. So, again if you print this line, so if you can see the echo before declaring an array of integers, we can see that this prints my name, and this is another way of printing. So, this is another way of printing the result. Okay. Now, as a next step, let us try to declare an array of integers, which essentially means we are going to use both the minus a and the minus I option. Now, if you look at this, I am trying to initialize them as integers, but then what I am trying to do is I am trying to print them as a string, because initially I told you that any variable is actually treated as a string. Now, in this case, if you see, even though I am declaring it as integer and then I am putting the string values. So, when I try to print it, let us see what happens. Okay. So, we will have to observe what is there before the read only variable. So, let us try to print this. So, if you look at this, I have defined Shankar and Raman, which are strings, but then when I print them, because you have declared them as integers, it says those values are not there, therefore, it is just printing an integer value of 0, which is essentially the value that it got initialized to. Now, let us look at the other option of making a variable read only. So, what we are trying to do is in the next step. Okay. So, I am trying to modify a variable, okay, as read only. Okay. So, here what I am trying to do is I am putting a variable name change, and then what I am doing is I am declaring that variable to be minus r, which means essentially the name change variable will only be read only. Now, what do you think will happen if I put interchange line number 30 and 29? So, for example, I put 30 first and then I put line 29. Now, essentially what will happen is that it will not allow you to declare the variable, because you are already making the variable read only. So, you have to first assign the value of the variable and then fix its name as read only, and then I can print the value. Now, if I want to change the value of the name, okay, let us see what happens. Okay. So, what I can do is I can just do it like this. So, what I can do is I can print the name change, the value of name change, and then I can assign a new value to this variable, okay, and then I can see what happens. So, let us try to do this. So, I am just declaring this. Okay. So, if you look at this, it just said it assigned the value of Shankar to the variable, and then after that what happened was, when I tried to change the name of the name change variable to Raman, it just clearly said that it is only a read only variable. Now, this is a sort of a protection that is given to you when you are coding. Okay. So, if you want to ensure that your type, I mean this is known as strongly typed, okay, and essentially what happens is, if you see, the name does not get changed. So, by using this declare statements, what you could do is you could ensure that, okay, your variables are sort of type protected. Okay. So, what we can do is, okay, finally to show you that yes, this really has an effect, what I will try to do is I will just go ahead and then change this. Okay. So, let me now in the last line, so instead of declaring it as read only, I just comment this out. Okay. Now, let us see whether it tries to work. So, if you look at this, now the variable name has got changed. So, in this way you will be able to protect your variables in your programs, shell scripting. Okay. This is one of the very important feature of shell scripting. So, we thought you should understand about this feature. Thank you very much.